promise,
promise,
promise, promise, promise.
Thea, we will handle this. I promise. I promise. I promise.
Like you promised Walter you'd always stay faithful to him?
Promise, Dad. I promise. I promise. I promise.
I won't leave you, Claire. Promise.
Get him back, please.
I will get him back. Promise.
I don't know where I am, but
I'll find you, Des.
I promise.
No matter what.
I'll come back to you.
I won't give up.
I promise.
I promise. I love you.
If you marry me, Bree Mason, I promise to love you for the rest of my life.
This will put you right to sleep. It's a very powerful herbal remedy. Now promise me you're going to use it judiciously?
Sure.
We don't want to get spanked. Yeah, we promise we'll be good.
Too late.
So long you probably forget what it even feels like or how it begins. It begins with a promise. You promise to put down the shears. I promise to forget this ever happened. And we begin again.
You'll be safe with him. I promise.
You're not a cop. Promise me.
promise. I'm sorry, but my friends are gonna figure out how to fix this, I promise.
As soon as I can, I'll look in the bridge. I promise.
Okay.
Suicide.
Suicide. Suicide.
Suicide.
Suicide.
An adventure, Clark. It's a suicide mission. It's a suicide mission. It's a suicide mission.
Ultimately, it'll lead to her suicide. 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 Nice work, Daddy.
Who are you? Why would you want to, Chuck? Why?
Because climbing down there when it's dark is a thin step short of suicide, that's why.
Give me gun back.
Okay, back. You're a suicide case. And you're trying to shoot me in the fucking head.
He wants us to get caught.
Follow the GPS, turn around.
This is a suicide mission. You have to listen to me. We can't do this.
Ignore her.
Following his attempted suicide, he is being held at Sugamo Prison, awaiting trial for war crimes.
Suicide!
It is the only source of fresh water we found, Saeed.
And staying on the beach, in the sun without water. That's not suicide.
Your death was officially ruled a suicide by the prison coroner on November 1st.
Outside of these walls, it's suicide, Edward.
I can make it to New Delphi. I like my chances. Suicide does not fall under our mandate.
Normally, I would agree this isn't normal.
Compensation.
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 Compensation. Hey! I'm here to claim my free pie, which will be free and requiring no compensation. Compensation. Compensation.
He says it's used in civil law to calculate victim compensation. Compensation. Compensation.
Paige, he's having R and I over tonight to discuss compensation. Compensation. Compensation.
BP's compensation fund has made a final settlement payment to 1 out of 91,000 people waiting for checks.
He hired us to steal the drive. So I'm gonna go ahead and call Kevin's murder a breach of contract and take the diamonds as compensation.
This is for you. 20 guineas. As compensation for the loss of his services.
I want to unearth his body. I need to examine it. And my compensation? Well, that depends how fresh the corpse is.
The murders have sparked a growing controversy over the way companies like Aceway calculate victims' compensation.
I'm from considerable wealth. In exchange for a little kindness, I can offer tremendous compensation.
Seen anything like it?
Oh, I have. And usually these encounters come with better financial compensation.
Nobody needs a bed this big. I mean, my whole apartment could fit into this bed frame. It's overcompensation. It's absurd. and you make your own hours, come and go as you like. Compensation, would $220 a year work for you?
Upsetting.
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 Admit something really upsetting, but I'm tired of touching her boobs.
Okay, I'm trying very hard to think of a question that could in no way be construed as upsetting. It's upsetting. It's upsetting.
This noise, you said his name was, he's delusional.
Oh, extremely. They can be quite upsetting. Quite upsetting. Quite upsetting.
Hello, I'm Brody Moyer.
Nice to meet you.
I'm afraid I have some upsetting news for you.
Oh no, is everything okay?
I'm sure. And it must be pretty upsetting to you guys, too. Those pictures are very upsetting. I'm sorry.
Did you just call me? We had to sedate his mother. Yes, very upsetting. You have my cell number? Thank you, bye.
In 1990, you bought the largest zoo in Mexico. Tragic story with the mauled panda. Very upsetting.
I shot him.
That must have been very upsetting.
You're upsetting him. He's been through enough.
Well, according to her financials, she paid for breakfast at a cafe right before court. So maybe someone there will let us know what was so upsetting.
I know this must be upsetting.
Only because I couldn't give you children. He's my dad.
She's concerned that your presence is upsetting to Mr. Gallagher.
Steak.
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 The owner of Russia's a steak.
Fuck Russia.
Oh? It's a hard decision, Your Lordship. A very hard decision. But the honor of Downton is at stake. Is at stake. Is at stake.
Don't worry, Carson.
Multiple attacks over the years to come. Countless lives are at stake. At stake. At stake. That painting should be destroyed.
You realize survival's at stake.
Yeah, mine. Mr. President, your reputation as a world leader is at stake. The United States of America needs to be on the right side of history on the race issue.
A friend's rescue.
There's more than Nico's life at stake.
I've been in this place for a long time. Didn't work out so well. Now I'd like a steak.
You've absolutely lost your mind.
Yes, I am well aware of what's at stake. But what you are proposing is too dangerous.
We can't just give them the egg.
Barbie's life could be at stake.
But he told you it's not safe out there. Since when do you even have a vote?
Please, you're making a terrible error. Now, there is too much at stake.
Destroying magic?
That's not it. We don't care about magic.
Then what were you trying to do?
I'm not afraid of a ghost story. Not when my family's at stake. Thank you.
Jonas possesses all four attributes. Intelligence, integrity, courage.
I've been doing this 14 years, and most escapes can be attributed to dumb luck or brute force.
Filthy individuals who might enjoy silly with womanly attributes.
Illinois Governor Frank Tancredi. His consideration is attributed to his reputation for being tough on crime.
States. Civil war continues to devastate the Midwest.
Scientists attribute this latest water shortage to the lack of rainfall the last 2 years.
I got this instinct, John. It's just no denying it. It's a God-given attribute, really.
Revised your own history. Truth is that your innermost fear is in fact your most striking attribute.
The director of the Vatican Museums would be grateful if you could call him back.
The reliquary attributed to Cellini, I presume. And then...
You kind of are.
So you attribute every relationship I've ever had to the height of my cheekbones?
Clearly something.
Nope.
House, on a list of your attributes, there's nothing that even rhymes with coy.
I mean that sincerely, not passive-aggressively, as in it's a good attribute for a spy to... Oh, bloody hell.
Kern, the teacher's strike, now Matthews.
You attribute all that to me.
If I had to guess.
These paintings hang in museums all over the world, attributed to Mr. King.
Loyalty.
Loyalty.
Loyalty. Loyalty. Loyalty.
I'm promoting you to full lieutenant. For your valor, for your loyalty, for your loyalty, for your loyalty.
Now, there's only one thing I value in this world, Stephen, and that's loyalty, loyalty, loyalty.
Education, physical fitness, but above all, loyalty, loyalty, loyalty.
He built it. The war machine.
And he doesn't question your loyalty.
I'm gonna do whatever I gotta do to prove that my loyalty is to this town!
He may be erratic, but don't underestimate his loyalty to his brother.
What if we solve both problems at once?
By right of birth and blood, I do this day lay claim to the Iron Throne of Westeros. Let all true men declare their loyalty.
It's to the throne, then, Cersei's children.
Joffrey is my king, the rest doesn't interest me.
I appreciate your loyalty.
Not your concern.
If you take King's Landing with her by your side, the victory will be hers.
I never thought I'd have reason to doubt your loyalty. Was I wrong?
There. There are worse crimes on earth than loyalty.
And that one tortured me. And others he executed.
Well, he had to do that so they wouldn't question his loyalty, so he could get in, gain access to their battle plans, and most...
For whatever it's worth, I did bring up your loyalty and how good you are at your job, not that he needed me to remind him.
Need it one day. For you. To prove my loyalty.
You told her I'd hardly call that loyalty.
Expert.
Expert. Expert. Expert. Expert.
Look, I'm not an expert on love, but I think...
Cocoons? Not an expert, not an expert, not an expert.
There aren't any experts.
That's not entirely true.
These fakes would have to stand up to carbon dating and expert scrutiny shit.
You're very calm, man. You're the expert, I think.
She's in her study. We don't usually see her before 9.
She's an expert in loony extremists.
I need a large birthday cake by 5 o'clock.
Don't worry, our expert bakers can have it ready for you in time.
Oh, you're here to advise me now, are you?
I wouldn't dare. When it comes to women, you're the expert.
But my professional opinion as an expert risk taker is that you and I are a risk worth taking.
But I mind seeing him go, but can we afford to lose our expert on ships and their capabilities?
What is it?
I explained to you that guns were weapons of emotion and unpredictability, but since you are far from an expert at archery, this will have to do for now.
Including one very blonde IT expert.
Qualified as expert marksman last year.
It's crisis averted.
What are you, a demolition expert? What if you're wrong?
Mr. Ward here is something of an expert on S.H.I.E.L.D. And you, an expert on the obelisk. Together, I think there's much we can achieve.
Look, I'm no ballistics expert. But it's a safe bet Dr. Manchester was shot with a gun modified with Vohm tech.
Constructive. 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 Constructive.
Is to make that revolution, that change, peaceful and constructive for all, and constructive for all, and constructive for all.
Mona, can we talk about this?
I mean, I think we need to be constructive, and I know what I've done is really stupid,
And now we won't do the dance, and it was very constructive for him. Was very constructive for him. Was very constructive for him. And you ruined it.
There's only one way to get him to show.
Each other, and we can give each other advice and constructive criticism to make each other better lovers. Okay, that definitely didn't sound like it was in the vein of constructive criticism, but I will continue nonetheless.
Okay, I don't think ditching me is the most constructive approach. The most constructive approach. The most constructive approach.
Well, it solved the problem, didn't it? It's quite simple, Watson.
Well, there's no need to be antsy. We have our wits. We just have to focus on being constructive. Constructive. Constructive.
Capital.
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 Capital. Capital.
Committed by those above the age of majority are capital crimes. Capital crimes. Capital crimes. You are hereby sentenced to death.
That was an unauthorized spacewalk? It's a capital crime. It's a capital crime. It's a capital crime.
I'm still 17.
You should come with me to the Capitol. The Capitol. The Capitol.
Lined up after graduation.
What? You got a fucking job?
Yeah, I'm working for Newberry Capital in New York. Wow.
You know the game, short and distort. They're rumor mongers, and they're making a killing.
What are your plans for a capital raise?
We're way ahead of you. Now, let me be clear.
Right here. This stretch of North Woodward used to be called the street racing capital of the world.
Attention, capitalist pigs.
Florence Costello and Martin Faber. They have the same Danielian capital Fs.
That's because they were written by one person attempting to mimic two different styles.
According to the analysis, it comes from mines south of Longyearbyen, capital city of the Svalbard Islands.
Able to gain the control he needs.
We will need capital.
Do you still have your contacts in China?
D.C. was the center of the country back in the 1790s. It was a good place for the capital then, but now...
Now the Midwest is the center.
Just a capitalist. Like you, Jim.
But in place to protect us. SHIELD brought airships raining down in our nation's capital.
The Continental Congress.
You saying there's a government in Charleston?
Elected by almost 3,000 civilians in the new capital.
Oh, you've been able to fly with all the beamers around.
I fly.
Virtually.
Virtually. Virtually. Virtually. Virtually.
On paper, you're virtually broke. Virtually broke. Virtually broke.
You once told me that Mirakuru made a man virtually unstoppable. Virtually unstoppable. Virtually unstoppable. What could happen to this country?
Is to stop them getting their profits. Right now, it's virtually impossible for them to wire money in.
I'm virtually certain there's some high-value target there. I'm just not sure it's bin Laden.
What do we need this for in Libya? I mean, Gaddafi's anti-air is virtually non-existent.
10 times more lethal and virtually indestructible. Virtually all of them were out of range before we fired. Within 90 yards of the next phone.
Making it virtually impossible for us to intercept out here at sea.
Yes, sir.
Affects them both in virtually the same way.
You know, virtually everyone has been taken for processing.
The rest of the eastern seaboard was left virtually untouched.
Recall. Recall.
Recall. Recall.
Recall.
Your seizures before today?
Not that I recall. Recall.
Ever approved or denied overtime?
I don't recall. I don't recall. I don't recall.
Did any of the accident victims work overtime the week before the Lakeshore crash?
I don't recall.
Did any of them routinely put in for overtime?
I don't recall.
Miss Conley, are you married?
Seriously, what? You're gonna recall a judge and recall a judge and recall a judge? Let's figure out how that works, because I'd love to see that plan.
Father of Jesse Bolton. Do you recall Jesse Bolton, budding journalist, writes for the Boston Globe? Is this coming back?
We need to know if there was anything different about this facility.
I'm sorry, Inspector, I simply cannot recall.
That's a +2. I don't recall inviting you at all. All right, ladies, I tried.
You know the 5th grade boy with the vintage Dr. J poster and the instant recall of his career stats?
I was that boy.
A lot of people could die, Jim.
Well, if you can prove that Vanneman manipulated the products testing, I'll recall the drug immediately.
How much?
I don't really recall right now. There's a man bleeding in my backseat. I have to pick up my son from summer school.
Certain I've heard it before. I just can't recall where.
On your B meds.
Yes, I vaguely recall the incessant media coverage.
Failing. I need you to help me figure out why.
As I recall, you have 3 actual doctors you haven't fired today.
They're in jail.
Journal. Journal.
Journal. Journal. Journal.
Numbers, the Wall Street Journal, and Starburst Candy.
Numbers, journal, 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 candy.
Just a second, Derek. What is the problem?
Alex read my journal. I did not. I need help. I was supposed to keep a journal all summer. It's due today.
Wow. CDs you may have bought together. Journal entries.
If it's me, you'll see a 7 and a pound sign. You'll keep a journal of everything that goes on in that office.
Who's he talking to?
The Jewish Journal.
Look over there! Look for what? Evidence of who Da Vinci truly is. Sir, found a hidden compartment with more journals.
Permafuck, a journal of spirit rape.
In his journal during this period, he wrote that the shadow was his friend, the night his domain.
Max, do you think in addition to my eulogy, I should read something from my childhood journal?
I'm not sure. Does this have something to do with counting chickens and your dream journal and shit?
Poe's Warrior Journal, Day 1. Trudged through mud, scaled hills, forged mighty torrents.
So this will allow Cisco to see into his dream.
I got the idea from a journal article on lucid dream therapy.
Agree. Agree. Agree.
Agree.
Agree.
I say we make every moment count.
I agree. I agree. I agree.
Besides, this family's been through a lot together. We'll get through this too. All Shannons agree? All Shannons agree? All Shannons agree?
Yes.
Yep. I got a good night's sleep.
Okay. So even if I do agree, who are you gonna get to play Dad?
Hey, guys. Can we all agree that thing is a pest? Because as an exterminator, it is my job to take care of pests.
Come on, I told you it was none of your business, all right?
Look, and normally I'd agree.
I have to go, Nikita. I have to do this.
I know.
But you don't agree with me.
It's none of my business.
Even if we hunt her friends down, it will not solve the problem.
So you're saying you agree with her?
I'm saying I understand her.
So, listen, Sheldon, I was thinking, since this is going to be our first Halloween party as boyfriend and girlfriend, I thought it might be fun for us to go in a couple's costume.
I couldn't agree more.
He's out of control. He is not acting like the other Jedi. He has no respect for us. Listen, I don't agree with him either, but I don't have a better plan.
I agree with you. As he is going away, there's no need for Count Vronsky to come.
I just said so there's no need to repeat it.
It is for you to decide.
Yes, and I decided.
Then I'm very glad
that we agree, so perhaps we can stop talking about it.
Hey, you agree with this?
100%.
Import.
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 Business.
Well, yes.
What business?
Nutella.
Import, export, import, export, import, export.
Although nowadays there's rather more X than im, if you know what I mean.
In Carolina, Mrs. Pemberton.
Well, we should import one. Import one. Import one.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we should import one. Why not?
Delivery to where?
To a tile import business, import business, import business.
I'm afraid you're in the wrong part of the world. I import coffee beans and cocoa from Brazil.
We don't produce our own whitener anymore. It's cheaper to import it, and we don't have to worry about the mercury.
Racketeering and Perino owned an import business?
Baja Cartel. She was an accountant at an import company in Honolulu.
Looks like an import outfit.
real estate holdings as well.
We're still trying to locate his next of kin. Did he import bananas?
Import tariffs on industrial manufactured goods and export quotas on rare earth elements.
Charm.
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 Your charm is the fucking American dream.
How are you gonna handle this?
I'm gonna use my charms. Charms.
Not so charming, not so charming, not so charming.
Yeah, well, charm wasn't exactly my price.
Still talking.
I graduated from UVA, doctor. It is not a charm school.
She resist my charms for only so long. After all, I'm Dom Hemingway.
Well, you know, I didn't actually graduate from charm school like you, so maybe, you know, someday you can give me some tutoring or something.
Synonym for safety, but there was no Nick Wilde.
Well, you should have tried between chapels and charm schools.
So then I divorced that asshole and took half of everything. That's how I got my lucky charm.
Hi, honey, I got your note.
Sure know how to charm a girl.
Inmate, the brass is confident I can resist her charms.
So she turns on the charm and you're ready to forgive her?
Not forgive her.
I heard men say it was because of the violence. I heard them say it was his charm.
Execute. 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 Execute.
Execute.
Why would she want the rest of S.H.I.E.L.D. to come here? It's not to hug it out. She wants to execute them. Execute them. Execute them.
You think Daenerys will execute me and pardon you? Execute me and pardon you? Execute me and pardon you?
So instead of letting the Grounders kill Finn, we would execute him ourselves?
That's the date they, execute me.
I know.
Yeah, well, letting the state know that you're healthy enough to execute is not why I went to medical school.
You rushed to execute the woman who saved my life.
You dare accuse me of lying? I want him executed at once!
There is. But it involves Amanda Waller finding someone else to execute your friend.
She imprisoned you. She tried to execute you. And you offer her son a princess.
Ned Stark ordered me to execute your brother in King Robert's name.
I'd never let them execute you. Is that what you fear?
I can fix the Jolly Roger. My magic is powerful enough. We can execute the pirate's plan.
Without your not-so-fearless leader, you haven't got a hope.
Captain K9 said we will have to combine our powers. Combine our powers. Combine our powers.
Dinner is in the fridge, and I got you your favorite cake. It's on the counter. Combine the mix with 2 tablespoons of oil and 2 eggs.
Let me tell you something. I was in the depression stage about my ex, but I combined my ex with depression, and I...
Of course, we welcome those who volunteer themselves. We can offer attractive incentives for those who willingly combine.
500,000 florins. More than we keep in our Bruges and London vaults combined.
Hey, when FEMA gives us hotel vouchers, do you want to combine them and get like a ginormous suite?
A shared sensitivity of the spirit combined with what I like to call untapped potential.
And a director's award before he's 30. I mean, he had more stats in his first year than his whole squad combined.
Babe, maybe you're taking this whole dream thing too literally, or maybe you've combined 2 memories together.
No.
The dark matter must have combined with the bomb particulate inside your body.
So, I took a different approach. Paralytic combined with an anesthetic.
How come they can't through the toothpaste too?
It's only when the chemicals are combined that they become corrosive.
Complete.
Complete. Complete.
Complete.
Complete.
Have a complete set. Complete set. Complete set.
You complete the assignment, you complete the assignment, you complete the assignment, you get the meeting. Take it or leave it.
And he became like a complete stranger, a complete stranger, a complete stranger, just a different person entirely.
Practice power, complete and total hegemonic domination.
Might not find them until I do a complete exam and determine the exact cause of death.
Is there even a sentence that doesn't have redactions?
Not a complete one. Somebody...
The office. Paul was a complete workaholic.
And what did he do exactly?
It's a complete record of agent covers, personal details, affiliated soft targets.
Nothing to fear. We are in complete control.
Makes sense to me. Makes sense to you? Complete sense.
Acceptance.
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 It's just a call. It hurts, but it's not the end of the world.
Fifth stage. Acceptance. Acceptance. Acceptance.
Yeah, right.
It did, and I never looked back. I felt acceptance, 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 real love.
Mom, I've been through all of your stages, okay? I'm already at the 5th and final stage. Acceptance, acceptance, acceptance.
But, you know, that's Bernie. He liked to make people smile. He wanted friends. Acceptance, I guess, what you call it. That comes fear. What's after fear? What's after fear? Bargaining. Doc, you gotta get me out of this. I'll make it worth your while. Finally, acceptance. Well...
A gentle acceptance is more than Oscar could have hoped for.
Well, none, probably. So your acceptance of this challenge, if you decide to accept it.
This is what I love about coming into homes like this. It's the acceptance. Denial is the first stage of grief, my brother. The last, acceptance.
And of course, I can't mention you in my Nobel acceptance speech, but when I get around to writing my memoirs, you can expect a very effusive footnote and perhaps a signed copy.
Actually, as the newest member of your social group, I believe I'll gain more acceptance by arbitrarily siding with your friends from time to time.
That doesn't mean you might not someday build a gewgaw or a thingamabob that may get you a thank you in someone else's Nobel Prize acceptance speech.
It's Christmas, the season of joy and acceptance, and I'm just going to accept that I didn't get the solo.
I denounce thee for giving people ambitions they cannot fulfill, and I denounce thee for positing a world where social acceptance and walking on heels are easy.
Curse.
Curse. Curse.
Curse. Curse.
Are you willing to risk it? Curse you, curse you, curse you.
And I have cursed my willful idleness, cursed my willful idleness, cursed my willful idleness, begun to deem myself a coward.
Hello. I think you'll like the next one better. All the cheerleaders are suffering from an evil curse. Curse. Curse.
Oh, well, that's like my high school, too.
And I used to think that that was a curse, but...
Okay, do you see my hair? You want me to go see Ryan like this? Really?
Well, Ryan or not, you do not curse in this house.
There's nothing I can do about that.
Look at us. You feel cursed because you were born with it.
Scented with myrrh. Anywho, Elisha was very sensitive about his hairless pate, and in the name of the Lord, cursed the boys.
I'm just hoping this isn't some sort of verfluchte Zwillingsschwester. A what? An entwining twin curse. They make a mess of things.
We are. It's the curse of old men to realize that in the end we control nothing.
Yes. She cast a curse on this land. A terrible, terrible curse.
The portal you were after.
The same one Emma went through. That's how she escaped the curse.
Remarkable.
I love that goat. That goat's all about reversing the curse.
What curse?
The Cubs. Goat owner cursed them once, which is why they always suck. Everyone knows that.
Bind.
Bind.
Bind. Bind. Bind.
For the traitor that he is. Find him, Mr. Joyce. Find him, Mr. Joyce. Find him, Mr. Joyce.
Sir. No. Captain.
They mend themselves and bind their pride, bind their pride, bind their pride, their future together.
I know you're still in there somewhere.
Bind her, bind her, bind her.
It will bind to the virus and keep it occupied while you're...
They're from months ago. They're obsolete. Well, that leaves me in a bit of a bind.
I'll be able to find the stability sequence he used to bind his DNA to the virus. That...
Most commonly used in occult ceremonies, performed to bind two people together.
But I will not bind myself to them in advance. If that doesn't interest you, fair enough.
No devil, just a Medici.
Bind him securely.
And whatsoever thou shalt bind on earth shall be bound in heaven.
Who murdered Donald Hauser? The technique used to bind her, the size and placement of the bullet wounds.
Individual.
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 You're going to come home a different person. You're going to come back a radicalized individual, willing to risk life.
Peter,
you
that's enough.
are a side effect to an evolutionary process that cares little for individual lives, individual lives, individual lives. You are a failed experiment in mutation.
My organization has been contracted to eliminate a certain high-profile individual, high-profile individual, high-profile individual. A very well-guarded target.
Shit. I think this year we're gonna show that it takes a team to win, not any individual guy, just a team. And
Truth is, I never really got into baseball because it's more of a father-son game. You know, my dad was more into individual sports like tennis and golf and withholding affection.
Said individual is to be immediately remanded to the Bajela. These are lies, this is slander! Whereupon he will remain.
And troops here are risky. What else, you know? That you're a hyper-intelligent individual. That you understand acutely that the heat...
In local law, it means that the court will appoint an individual to assume responsibility for you. Me.
How is he able to formulate the connection? Is it physiological or psychological?
This individual can create a mental nexus using gaseous substances.
You mean connect with gases on a molecular level?
For a spark. Now, mankind would fight that fire, leaving every individual plant perfect in its own individual way. But it's the fire that's perfect.
What?
This really a gifted individual? What do we know?
Not much yet.
Doubtful. Doubtful.
Doubtful.
Doubtful.
Doubtful.
Very doubtful. Very doubtful.
Doubtful. Doubtful. Doubtful.
To safer to be that which we destroy than by destruction dwell in doubtful joy. Okay, try again.
Yes, I have never been out in the field.
Exactly. Stupid fucking idea.
My point is that it's highly doubtful that I've ever been exposed.
You're right. It's doubtful those kids will survive, but if you're there, at least Octavia won't be alone.
Maybe he's collaborating with an old cellmate.
Doubtful.
coincidence? Doubtful. What else you got?
Make yourself comfortable.
We really expect him to show his face again?
Doubtful, but we might ID the cleric you saw him with.
So, how about 11?
Highly doubtful. Try after lunch.
Perfect. I'll see you at 11.
He's talking to the wrong guy, Agent Burke.
Doubtful, but one more question. Kyrgyzstan.
Doubtful. The diamond is in my least favorite parliamentary republic.
Lens.
Lens. Lens.
Lens.
Lens.
And the small brass cap. An optic?
Yes, sir. A glass lens. A glass lens. A glass lens.
As a telescope?
not unlike a telescope.
She wore corrective lenses, and she was an organ donor.
What's that? A piece of kryptonite that you're going to use like a lens. Lens. Narrow your blaster to minimum and filter it through.
Long lens, short base cameras.
Why are we looking at the water?
Good.
Really got to get rid of the double glazing, Paul. Get yourself contact lenses or something. Laser eye treatment. Nobody's ever going to take you seriously, still.
Those aren't jellyfish, buddy. Believe it or not, those are contact lenses. Your grandpa saved all the contact lenses he ever wore.
Look in the lens. Don't move.
At the far end of this arrangement of prisms, lenses, lies a camera obscura.
I'm serious. I mean, I got to get you in front of my lens so I could...
Oh my God.
Videotape it.
Well, did you tell me to take off the lens cap? Next time, be more specific.
Talking about. It's not exactly retina display, but I got a long lens shot from the liquor store. Looks like he tossed his phone.